In this video, we're going to work on our next feature, which is user authentication. And we're also going to start taking a look at some of the AI features available in Cursor. So we're here in our project board, and I'm going to open up this authentication ticket so we can take a look at it. It's a basic description of the new Rails 8 authentication generator and what it provides out of the box, which is some basic session management, logging in, logging out, as well as password reset. What it doesn't provide is user sign up or user registration, because that can vary greatly from one application to another depending on what your needs are and what kind of information you want to gather in order for users to sign up. So we've got our basic acceptance criteria here: logging in, logging out, and password reset. And I've created 3 subtasks. We're going to start by generating the default authentication cruft, and then we're going to update the login button in the main navigation, and finally we're going to update the UI generated by Rails with Tailwind components so that it fits in better visually with the rest of our application. So to get started, we'll use the neat little feature over here on the right under this development heading to create a branch, and we're going to update this to say user authentication, and then click create branch, and it'll give us a prompt on how to fetch it and check out that branch locally. So for me, I'm going to switch over to Tower, and I'm going to want to fetch. And now that I can see this branch, I can double click on it to check it out locally, and we can get started working. We'll switch over to Cursor and we'll generate our authentication. Let that run. Once it's done running, we will run our database migration, and then we'll start our development server. And when I switch over to our app and hit refresh, you'll notice that instead of going to the home page, we're redirected to the sign-in page. And the reason for that is because if we go to our application controller, it's now including this authentication module. And if we take a look at that, we'll see that when that's included, every controller gets a before action to require authentication. Now there's also this class method defined here, allow unauthenticated access, which skips the before action. And we can see that working if we look at our sessions controller. We see that allow unauthenticated access is on for the new and create actions. So for our sign-in form and our form processor. So in order to allow access to our home page, we can go to our home page controller and allow unauthenticated access. Save that. Go back to our site and go back to our home page, and now we're able to view it again. Okay, so we'll go back to Tower and look at our working files here. I'm going to select everything. We're going to say generate user authentication files, and we can go to our ticket here and scroll down to this task and mark it as complete. Close it. Go back to our ticket and now move on to the next task, which is update the login, logout button in the main navigation. So we'll switch back to Cursor and we can close these files. We actually want to open up our header view. And now we're going to start diving into some of the AI features here. So what we want to do is we want to find the link for our login, which is right here. and we want to update that to point to our new sign-in form. And we actually have two links in this file. So there's this one, and then under the mobile menu, if we scroll down, we can see that there's also a login link here. So what we're going to do is come over here and we're going to say update the login link on this page. If a user is signed in using the authenticated method, display a button to referencing the session path. If the user is not logged in, display a link to the new session path. Keep the right arrow for the login link. All right, let's see what we get. All right, so we're getting an overview of what it expects us to do, as well as a code snippet for the changes it plans to make, and then it's explaining each of the changes that it made. And if we go into our file on the left here and scroll down, we can see that there's also a diff here in our file. So it's replaced the link, checking if we're authenticated. If we're signed in and we want to sign out, we get a button to the session path with the delete method. Otherwise, we get our login link and we keep our right arrow. So let's accept that. We can scroll down here. We got the same thing. We got our log out and our login buttons and links. We can accept that. And if we go to our page and hit refresh, now when we click on the login link, we get our sign-in form. So now we can go to Tower and say update a login button in the main navigation. All right, so we've got that. Switch over to our tasks here, open that up and close this issue. And go back to authentication. Our final task here is going to be to update the generated UI using Tailwind components. So let's start by going to Tailwind Plus, and in their application UI section, we want to look for sign in and registration. And under here, they've got a page for a dark theme that we can use. I'll just copy that and switch over to Cursor. We'll close this file and we want to open up our session new view. And actually, let's tackle all three of these at once. So we'll start a new chat. We've got our session new. Let's add our password new and edit pages as well. And here's what we want to do. We want to keep the functionality of the Rails forms on these pages, but update them to use the markup and styling of this Tailwind component. And we'll paste that in. We also want to replace the logo mark that comes with it with an image tag referencing our own film icon. Update the color scheme so that indigo becomes rose and gray becomes neutral. And we'll start off with that, see what we get. All right, so we have an updated sign-in form, and now it's going to move on to the password reset form. Okay, so now it's done. We can actually review these files and verify that these are the changes that we wanted made. We've got our notices here that have been updated to use a dark color theme. We have our form tag, and we're using the form label for the form fields. Looking good. Notice that it updated the link for the forgot password link to our new password path. So it provided that to us without us even having to ask for it, which is pretty cool. And our sign in button, so that all looks good. We can accept this file, but first let's get some visual verification. If we go back to our site and hit refresh, all right, that looks good. We've got our film icon and our forms updated. It looks like if we click the forgot password link, this looks good. Film icon and everything looks great. We can go back to our sign-in form. That link also updated automatically without us having to ask for it. Again, that's pretty cool. The password reset form itself, we'll get into that when we start testing. It's a little harder to get to because we need a token that gets generated when we submit the form. Now there is one thing that we did miss, and that is if we just type in a random email address to reset our password. So it updated the color scheme, but we want to update these alert boxes to use, again, some Tailwind components. So let's switch back to Tailwind, and we'll go back into here, and we want to look for some feedback components. Here we go. There's our alerts, and they provide several different variations. You've got one with lists, with links, link on the right, one with a border on the left, if you like, and one with a close button. I'm just going to go with this one at the top. I'm going to copy that markup and switch back to our form here. So in order to style these, what I'm going to do is in the new file here, we're just going to accept these files for now. And then back here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set these both to true, the alert and the notice values, and comment out the rest. Now when I save that and we go back and reload the page, now we can see both of these alerts. And let's just start with a new chat. And we'll add, edit, and new here. Update the alerts and or notices in each file to use the following Tailwind component markup and styling. The component uses See, the component uses a light colored theme, but I want them to be updated to conform to a dark color theme. Here is the component. And let's make sure, yep. So there's our component. Paste that in. And we'll send it. Okay, so I'll switch over to the new, and we still have that set to true. So let's see what we get this time. Okay, that looks great. So we'll go back here and we'll undo that. We'll accept this file. We'll take a look at the new password. And just to make sure, we'll set that to true. And go back, go to forgot password. That looks good. And we'll change that back. Save that and accept it. And then check out our edit file. And accept that. All right, so now if we go back to Tower, we can check those off and we can say update UI with Tailwind components. There's our third commit. And go back to our RealPix board. Open this last task and close it. Go back to authentication. And let's start going through these acceptance criteria. So, got to make sure that the user can log in and log out and reset their password. In order to do that, we are going to need a user. So let's go in here and open up a Rails console, and we will create a user, and it needs an email address. We'll do Nick Fury at shield.gov. Give him a password of password and password confirmation of password. All right, now we've got our new user. Switch back here to our sign-in form. Refresh. I guess we're still on true for that, so we need to go back here and make sure that that gets set back. Refresh. Okay, so Nick Fury at shield.gov and his password. We hit return, and now we've got our log out button here. And if we click log out, we go back to our sign-in page, and just to make sure it wasn't just linking to that, if we go back to our home page, we'll see that we've got the login link again. So a user can log in and a user can log out. Now we just need to see if they can reset their password. Switch back, and we'll go to the login page. Say, I forgot my password. Nick Fury at shield.gov. All right, so we've got our nice alert box here saying that it sent reset instructions using the email address. So in order to find out, or in order to get the link for that, we need to go look at our logs. And I'm just going to close this AI window. If we scroll up, we can see this link here, and we want to get everything up to the host name. So I'm going to copy that, switch back to our browser, and we want to paste that in. And now we're on our password reset page, and we can see that everything looks good. We've got our icon, form fields here, so we're going to enter our new password, submit that. Our password has been reset, and now we need to sign in again. So Nick Fury at shield.gov and our new password. And now we're signed in again. So now we can confirm that that has been done. All of our tasks have been complete. I noticed that I never changed the status of our ticket to in progress. We can actually change that here. But if we go back here, we can see that all 3 of our subtasks have been completed, and we have pushed our changes up to GitHub. Actually, let's go to Tower and make sure. So we've got this one change, and I'm actually going to amend that to our last commit. So we have these done, and now we can push these up. And if we go back to our repository, we can see that we have this alert here, so we can compare the changes and create a pull request. We'll rename the pull request. We'll call it user authentication. We'll assign ourselves to the pull request. If you have teammates, you can actually ask any of them to be a reviewer on this, but it's always good to assign yourself to the pull request so that developers can easily determine who they need to talk to or address their comments to. All right, so we're going to say implemented user authentication using the new Rails 8 authentication generator and updated the UI using Tailwind components. All right, and we'll create our pull request. Now, once we do that, we can see that the successfully merging this pull request may close this issue, authentication. Now, the reason why is because it's based off of a branch that's linked to that ticket, but we could also go in here, and if we edit our description, we can add either at the top or the bottom, we could say closes number, and then we can choose the issue, and we've got authentication here, and update our comment. And it's good to do this in your pull request description as well, because it provides a link to the issue. Now it's running our checks, and we can actually enable auto merge. And we're going to do a rebase and check that and confirm it. So now, once all of our checks have passed, it will automatically merge this into our main branch and remove our working branch on GitHub. We'll just need to go to our local Git branch and clean things up there. And then we'll be good to go. All right, all our checks passed and our pull request was successfully merged and closed. If we go back to our board, we can see that it moved our ticket over to done for us automatically. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. If you were to switch over faster, you might see it's still here and it'll take a few seconds for it to move over. And that wraps up user authentication. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. And thank you for watching.